Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share 10 tips on how you can manage your time better. I feel like being able to manage your time well is the key to becoming more productive in general. So I do hope that you'll find some of these time management tips to be helpful. As always with my tips videos, these are just some simple tips that have helped me personally throughout my school years. But even though we all work differently, I still hope that you'll enjoy some of these tips and that they can help you manage your own time. My first tip is pretty obvious, but it is to have a to-do list. It just helps you get a clear overview of what you have to do, which in my opinion is one of the most important things when it comes to managing your time well. I also just wanted to show you this to-do list book that I got recently. It's not sponsored and I bought it myself, but I just think it's so smart because you can write things for your to-do lists in advance without having lots of loose papers lying around. This particular book is from Rifle Paper Company and it definitely helps me organizing my time. My next tip is to prioritize the tasks that you have to do, so that you can set aside more time for the tasks that are urgent or just more time consuming. I prefer to do this by color coding, where I use red for the tasks with the highest priority, yellow for medium priority tasks, and blue for tasks that I could do if I have some extra time. You could also use symbols to show priority, just something to help you decide which tasks to complete first. Another tip that helps me managing my time by giving me more time in the mornings is to prepare as much as I can the night before. So some things that you can do is to pack your pencil case if you're in school. You can choose an outfit that you lay out, you could prepare meals, and you just lay out everything that you'll need for the next day in one space. The next tip is to use a planner or bullet journal to keep track of future events and tasks. Just writing it all down somewhere is a good way to stay organized, and it also allows you to plan out your time in advance. I also just find that writing down events and such helps me remember them more, so that I don't accidentally end up planning out too much for one day. In my opinion, early mornings and late nights are the times of the day when it's the hardest to get stuff done. So my next tip is to create a morning and night routine that will help you get as much as possible done in those hours when you might feel the least productive. I prefer making a schedule that I stick to, but if that's not for you, then you could just write down the tasks that you'd like to accomplish in the morning and the night, and eventually you'll most likely just fall into a natural routine. I just find that by having an overview of what I'd like to accomplish really helps me use that time way more efficiently. Next up is a very simple tip, but it's just to set deadlines for certain parts of bigger tasks and projects. Having deadlines for specific parts of a project really helps me work more effectively because I know which part of the task that I should be focusing on at specific times. A tip that my Instagram friend, the Studying Megan, shared in a YouTube video of hers is to set the final deadline a few days too early. I find this to be very helpful because I know I'm ahead of schedule, but at the same time, I'll have a bit of extra time in case something unexpected happens. My next tip is to use reminders on your phone for keeping track of tasks on the go. It's just a great way for me to get an extra reminder to start my task at the right time so that I don't spend unnecessary time figuring out what to do. I also like to set reminders for when I reach specific places, such as school or the library, so that I know exactly what to do when I get there. The next tip is for those days when you have a lot to do. and that is to make a schedule. After you have prioritized everything on your to-do list, just give yourself a time frame for each of the tasks. A good tip is also to give yourself a bit of extra time for each task so that you don't fall behind your schedule in case something unexpected happens. As I said earlier in the video, I know not everyone works best when living off a schedule, but I just find that this is the thing that helps me get the most out of my time on my busiest days. In order to manage your time well, it is important to get rid of distractions. So I make sure to have set times where I sign out of all social media, as these are some of the things that can be the biggest distractions for me. Just turning off all notifications for a bit helps me work without interruptions, and I also get more time for working when I don't spend time answering messages and comments for a little while. Finally, my last and probably my most important tip is to set aside time to de-stress and recharge. We can't be productive and manage our time well if we're tired, so it is important to make time in your schedule for simply unwinding. Having set times for breaks make me work more effectively as I have something to look forward to afterwards. And in my opinion, having a few but longer breaks is better for my overall concentration than constantly taking small and untimed breaks. So that is it for these 10 tips. I really hope that you found them useful, and as always, please feel free to share your own tips in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a lovely week ahead, and I will see you next week with another video.